Saturday Overdrive continues on CBS Sports Network. Welcome inside Gamble Pavilion, jam-packed here in Storrs, Connecticut. Temple and #1 UConn. 3 straight national titles for UConn. They have yet to lose their 3rd year in the American Athletic Conference. They have yet to lose a conference game. They lead Temple at the top of the American by a half game. Starting lineups, a 5-guard set for Temple. Fitzgerald and Butts combined to score 31 points per game. And Brianna Stewart, best player in the country, with the best team in the country, averaging 19 points, 8 rebounds per game. And a really nice complement of seniors along with Morgan Tuck and Mariah Jefferson. Set to do it. #1 UConn 15-0 going back to last year. They've won 52 straight overall. 3 straight national titles, 8 straight Final Fours. Some technical difficulties here inside Gamble Pavilion, and here we go. Set to do it. Temple has won 3 in a row, 8 of 9. But clearly a tall order against a team that isn't just beating everybody again this year, but beating them by a wide margin. Average margin of victory, 36 this year for the #1 Huskies. 3-pointer on the wing, Katie Lou Samuelson around and out, backed up, no, from Morgan Tuck. A 3rd try is up and in, and that's how this one begins. Dean, Jones, and Resch are officials here tonight. Opening touch here for the Temple Owls. Aaliyah Butts rotates it. Fiona Fitzgerald off the bounce, lays it home to tie the game at 2.
And a good sign for Temple to get on the board early. Now, Temple is a team that has gotten out quick in their first half, so they've got to try to hang with UConn as long as they can in this first quarter.
Straightaway 3 this time. Morgan Tuck too strong. Flying in for the rebound, Aaliyah Butts. One of 5 guards who start for Temple. Interesting matchup when you have the 5 guards against UConn, who is so long and athletic. And
that's something Tanya Cardoza told us. They just have played better with that 5-guard lineup. But to play against UConn with all their height is going to be difficult.
From 17, Tanea Atkinson off the mark. 1 and done for Temple. Comes Katie Lou Samuelson, rotates it Mariah Jefferson. And now Kia Nurse on a 3, it spins off. And Morgan Tuck clears, back up and in. Count it for Tuck, the senior from Bolingbrook, Illinois.
And sometimes with UConn, it's not the first shot, it's the second shot, the second chances. And Morgan Tuck flies in here with the offensive rebound, puts it back up, gets fouled. She has been playing really well as of late and has struggled with those knee injuries in the past couple of years. But UConn is happy to have her back on the court. She's a matchup nightmare.
Already 3 offensive rebounds to begin for #1 UConn, 15-0. 5-2 start.
Huge height discrepancy between these 2 teams, so Temple's going to have to do the best they can to battle on the glass.
This is Erica Coville out to Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald with a shot clock under 10. Here comes Butts, trying to drive a Nurse, a kick. Erica Coville drills one and ties the game at 5.
And Coville has been pretty known for having decent games and performances against UConn, but that penetration and pitch game against them is open. They just have to continue to nail shots like that.
Nurse has it crawl off, tapped around, controlled by UConn. And a fresh shot clock. Good effort by Tuck that time. Driving baseline, Samuelson lays it home, 7-5. Tanisha Fountain, the last to touch that out of bounds. First turnover for Temple. Tanya Cardoza, her team is 10-5 in her 8th year, 152 wins at Temple. Former assistant, longtime assistant for Gino Ariema here at UConn.
She's, in a sense, coming home for this one.
Tuck parries a 3. And UConn has doubled up Temple.
Morgan Tuck right now shooting 54% from the floor, so she's been pretty hot this season, and you've got to be able to find her.
And over and back-to-back turnovers now for Temple. Gino Auriemma, best winning percentage in the history of college basketball. 31 years, closing in on 1,000 wins. As I mentioned, they've won 3 straight national titles and they've been to the Final Four 8 straight times.
52 straight games.
Brianna Stewart makes it back-to-back threes for UConn after they missed their first 4 at the arc.
And she is just by far the most versatile player in the country.
And she gets the takeaway. It's an 8-0 UConn run. Kia Nurse, no. Knocked out of bounds. Temple basketball down by 8 at 6:40 to play in this opening quarter.
And one thing Tanya Cardoza did tell us before this game was we've got to control the basketball. We can't turn it over, because if you turn it over against UConn, they will get out on you so quickly you'll blink and the lead is just enormous. So they've got to take care of the basketball.
3 straight turnovers now for Temple. Here's Aaliyah Butts. Shot clock at 10. Knocked away, and again it's Stewart in the passing lane. 8 to shoot as Temple inbounds. Tanea Atkinson, and here's Fiona Fitzgerald. Tanasia Fountain on a 3, it's off. And a rebound for Brianna Stewart. Nearly a takeaway. Samuelson, not this time. Kia Nurse on the offensive glass. And Mariah Jefferson left it short on a 3. Knocked out of bounds. Owl basketball. Again, trailing by 8. Temple, you mentioned it. They have gotten off to really nice starts. Look at this. In the first quarter, plus 127 in terms of point differential.
Yeah, they have really come out hot and struggled in second halves of the games. And for instance, against Cincinnati, they came out, the only game actually was against Cincinnati when they came out hard in the second half.
Fiona Fitzgerald couldn't finish on the layup. And again, 1 and done for Temple. Brianna Stewart in transition, knocks it in, plus the foul.
It's going to be important that Temple takes a good shot, because they're going to be 1 and done, and this is why UConn gets it up in transition so quickly when they rebound the basketball and they find their open teammate. This is a team that passes the ball well, and they find Stewart, who's a 3-time Final Four most outstanding player, and just a player you want to see touch the ball.
Misfired on the free throw. Temple ends up with it. Pull up in transition is off the mark. And again, nothing on the glass for the Temple Owls. Morgan Tuck rifles it out. Corner 3, Samuelson.
And Samuelson, that is what Coach Auriemma recruited her to do. And the Samuelson sisters do that. They shoot threes while her sister plays at Stanford. And boy, that's what makes UConn so tough. You double team and they're going to find someone.
Tanea Atkinson off the mark on her 3. Weak side board knocked around and finally controlled by Mariah Jefferson. Samuelson couldn't contain the pass. Gets it back. She's on the deck. Along with a pair of Owls and a good effort both sides. A jump ball. Possession arrow to Temple when we come back. The Owls up against it here tonight at the under 5, trailing 18-5 against number 1 UConn. Saturday Overdrive on CBS Sports Network in the American. Top 2 teams in the league, and number 1 UConn already plus 6 on the glass, plus 13 on the scoreboard. Brent Stover, Maris Starr, Julianne Vianney, and so far it's about what we expected. They are pummeling teams, UConn, again this year, as they have for the last several years. Brianna Stewart, best player in America, on display already. She is showing us every part of her game.
I mean, there's just nothing there's nothing that she doesn't do. She does it all. She's by far the best player in the country. She's able to post smaller players up. She comes off the pick and roll like nobody's business, and she can finish with 3 defenders around her because she's able to elevate. She uses her 6'4" body and 7-foot wingspan to do it, and then defensively, she blocks passes, she blocks shots. I mean, this is a player you do not want to go at when you get in the lane.
Look at that, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks already today. Again, we're 5 minutes in. She's got 7 points, 4 rebounds. She's 3 of 3 from the field. Out of the timeout, Temple ball. They begin 2 of 7. UConn 7 of 15. I mentioned on the glass, complete domination so far for the #1 Huskies. Zone defense out of this timeout for UConn. Cofield lines up a 3, left it short, and a foul on the rebound. It'll stay at this end. And that's Morgan Tuck. And her first personal and the first team foul. That's another thing about UConn. I mean, it sounds like a broken record. I mean, you can throw all the gaudy numbers and records and all that, history, all that. They never foul.
Yeah, and you know what Coach Ariema says? He says that over and over. The best teams in the nation never foul. So my players learn how to defend without putting their body into things. And you can just tell, although Morgan Tuck just picked up her second personal, but that's not something you see too often from a UConn team.
Like I said, they never foul. And then Morgan Tuck fouls twice in about 3 seconds, and she goes to the bench.
It's the jinx.
I guarantee if you do foul twice in a row, he's going to sub you out.
Oh, for sure. And you're going to come out probably the rest of the half, so you don't pick up that third. Now, the one thing about his teams is that he goes deep, and he's got the luxury of being able to sub players in and out.
Samuelson not shy on the 3 early in this one. That one halfway down and out, and rebounded by Cofield. Fitzgerald blocked by Stewart.
You better have your mid-range game ready when you play against UConn, because you cannot get all the way to the basket without this happening to you, because Brianna Stewart rotates well and she's got a long wingspan.
And blocked again is Fitzgerald on a 3. Kia Nurse that time. Temple able to regain it in the lane. Cofield blocks. 3 quick blocks for the UConn Huskies. Then Jefferson lays it home. Timeout, Temple. We were tied at 5, but it's a 15-0 run, UConn at both ends. Stewart doing what she does. Defense turning into points. .342 opening quarter, all UConn. A 15-0 run. They lead 20-5. Spinning in the lane and shooting and getting blocked as you go. Wigwe, and a tie-up. UConn has possession.
You see Coach Cardozo put Wigwe in the game because she's going to have to play some of her posts today against a big UConn lineup. Obviously, she's been playing her 5-guard lineup. It's just going to be difficult to do that in a game like this.
It's Ugo Wigwe, 6'3", from Valley Stream, New York. Underneath the foul, and it's offensive. The officials, one had it one way, one the other. Perfect communication from about 10 yards away from each other, and they decide it's offensive.
And that is actually one of the things Coach Cardozo said to us too, is that against a team like UConn, you have to be able to still trust each other defensively. So it's important that they trust that they're going to get the help behind them, because they are a little bit outmatched.
Aaliyah Butts. Today, Atkinson backs it out. Shot clock at 13, knocked away. Gabby Williams in off the UConn bench.
She has been unbelievable this year. She's posted 3 double-doubles already this season. And just a nice sub off the bench for Coach Ariema.
The takeaway is Fitzgerald lost the handle. Stewart, she lost her handle, out of bounds. It'll stay with UConn on a 17-0 run.
And everything UConn does is it's from their defense. It produces their offense. Gabby Williams getting really tight defensively and just tipping the ball, and that's what produced that layup.
6 Temple turnovers. UConn with 8 points off those miscues. Pull-up mid-range is off from Kia Nurse. And here comes Temple.
UConn's hands are always active. You just look at their arms, they're always going. You've got to use pass fakes and shot fakes with a team like this. Knocked away,
Brianna Stewart. Jefferson on the move. Kia Nurse cashes in. 19 straight points for #1 UConn. Again, they're outscoring teams this year by 36. This is their third year in the American Conference. They've never lost a league game.
And there's no sign of them moving conferences. As we know, it's all about football, and so they're going to be staying put here for a while.
Leah Butts can't finish inside, pulled down by Williams. And we talked at shoot-around with Gino about that as Katie Lou Samuelson knocks in another, and it's 27-5.
And the one thing you have to tip your cap to with UConn is that even though they blow teams out, they come to play every day, and they don't change their game for anybody.
Never miss a moment of college basketball with the CBS Sports app. Every play, every score, every game, and every highlight. Right as they happen, download the CBS Sports app right now. Inside Campbell Pavilion Stores. I love these fans. Doesn't matter what the score is, they never
always
leave
show
early.
up.
And if they're watching on TV, they never flip the channel.
It's unbelievable. And the UConn ratings, when they play, it's always unbelievably high. They have such a great fan base. You know you're going to watch UConn, you're going to watch some skilled players, which no matter what the score is, people want to see.
Aaliyah Butts rattles out, pulled down by Colville. She's in trouble, fires it back out. Butts misfires again. A weak side board for Nurse. Here they come with Jefferson. Numbers, pull up. And rattles in.
Jefferson stops on a dime with her mid-range game. I just love that she's able to do that at any given moment.
Temple has missed their last 12 shots, and finally that ends as Wigwe drops it in.
Yeah, they really needed that bucket.
First points in just over 7 minutes as we arrive at the final minute of this first quarter. Williams had it deflected. Jefferson ends up with it, and a reset with 12 on the shot clock. Stewart, you bet.
You give her any room, she's making it, and she's taking it.
10 for Stewart, 32-7. She hits 43% at the arc. Berger in off the bench, Khadijah Berger. Here's Butts. 5-second difference game and shot as we wind down the quarter. Weekway underneath, and she gets blocked by Stewart.
Stewart is all over the floor.
That's 5 UConn blocks? Yes, 5 UConn blocks in this opening quarter.
They have players that, we talked about it earlier, they know how to maneuver their bodies so that they're not fouling, and they're athletic enough to get the blocks off.
Shot clock at 3, game clock at 8. Fitzgerald drills one. So the final 3 seconds, UConn trying to get one off. Stewart, corner, it counts if it goes, and does not. Just about everything else did go for UConn, though. End of the first. UConn leads 32-10. Brianna Stewart, 4 blocks, 5 rebounds, 10 points for her, everything working. 32-10. You're watching Saturday Overdrive on CBS Sports Network.
College basketball on CBS Sports Network is being brought to you by AT&T. Mobilizing your world.
Playing UConn, always special for Temple head coach Tanya Cardoza. She was an assistant on Gino's staff from 94 to 08. During that time, the duo won 5 national titles together. 5 of the 10 here in UConn history.
And when we talked to her, she said, when I play against them, it's the reason I'm coaching against him is because of him. So it's an honor to be playing on the same court as him, but I'm waiting for the day I can beat him as much as I admire him. She said, he's a Hall of Famer. So she wants to show her appreciation to make sure the team she puts out there is worthy of what he's instilled in her.
And he told us today, I want them to play their very best game of the season and her to coach her best game because it's better for both sides. Obviously, the more competitive this is. And so far, it's been one-sided. Mid-range on the baseline, and Ruth Sherrill gets blocked. It'll stay with Temple. The shot clock down to 3.
And this is just another great job rotating by UConn. They communicate well on the defensive end. That's their 6th block.
Stewart has 4 of them. This one knocked out. And again, only 3 to shoot for the Owls, who had this thing tied at 5 and then went cold, and UConn started knocking down everything. Aaliyah Butts stepped out of bounds. That's 8 turnovers for Temple. Most points scored in any quarter this season. 32 in the opening 10 minutes.
And that's one thing that Coach Ariema said, you know, year in and year out, it's always a challenge to get his players to always be up for a game. I mean, I know as a former player, when you're beating teams by 30, 40 points, you've got to show up to play no matter what. And you've got to admire the fact that Coach Ariema has instilled that in his players.
Nafisa Collier was out of bounds on that rebound, so back over to Temple. Minute deep in this second quarter. Butts defended by Jefferson. Picks up her dribble. Underneath, banking it home. Good effort by Wigwe that time.
And Wigwe's been doing a nice job for Temple. She's the first post off the bench, but she's been improving, and she just gives them that presence inside.
Samuelson again. She's knocked down 3 threes.
She is automatic. If you give her an inch, she is going to get that shot off, and she's 6'3", and she can pull out post players. They're not going to want to cover her out there, so there's a lot of versatile matchup nightmares for UConn.
Push on the way in.
With a player like Samuelson, you've got to be there on the catch. This is nice penetration and pitch. You see that the Temple D was just a hair late, and Samuelson's knocking that down.
Sanaya Chong on that foul. Here's Fitzgerald for Temple, turning the corner, tried to kick, knocked away by Nurse, and now a foul on the Owls.
The best thing Temple can do is penetrate and pitch. When you play against UConn, you've got to penetrate, get the ball out to the perimeter, and you have to hit shots from out there.
Nafisa Collier, and they rotate it up top for Chong. Stewart got it.
You see Wigwe closed out with her hands down, and Stewart easily puts it up.
Fitzgerald rotates at corner. Sherelle, the baseline jumper way off. Mariah Jefferson for UConn has headed to the locker room. We'll try to get you an update on why that is. As Wigwe pulls down the board for Temple. Pull up, Fitzgerald, no. Corralled though by Khadijah Berger. And now Butts, back to Berger. Step back is off from Fitzgerald and rebounded by Chong.
But Temple trying to look for the mid-range shot.
And a takeaway for the Owls. Here comes Butts for Fitzgerald. In the lane, steps through and scores.
And Fitzgerald is so good in the open floor, and Temple's philosophy is to run the basketball when they can, and so is UConn.
Samuelson pays that one off. 39-14, 6:40 in this first half. 12 assists on 16 makes for UConn so far.
They know how to pass the ball, but they make shots. I mean, bottom line.
Fitzgerald trying to get some space in there. Look at the size mismatch against Collier. Shot clock down to 3, floated up and in. Good work underneath that time by Khadijah Berger. And now Jefferson, there she is coming back out of the UConn locker room. Looks to be okay.
Yeah, that's a player they certainly don't want to see.
Collier left it short, Stewart back up and in.
Another second chance opportunity. And Stewart just finds a way to be in the right place at the right time.
She's got 14 points and 6 rebounds and 4 blocks already.
It becomes close to impossible to cover Breanna Stewart because of her length and her skill with that length.
Butts off the bounce, floats it up and in. Back-to-back shots go down the lane for Temple.
It's a tough shot.
Stewart.
She's automatic. Definitely going to be the #1 WNBA draft pick. I mean, the class this year of players coming out to play pro ball is really, really good in comparison to even last year. And she's going to be one of those players to watch at the next level.
Butts got it. And that's a 3. And Temple showing some life here in this second quarter. They're down 32-10 at the end of the first. So they've been outscored just 12. Now make it 14-11 here in the second.
But I think those are the things Tanya Cardozo's looking for in her team. I think she doesn't want to see them roll over and just give up, even though UConn is beating them at a big margin.
Foul on UConn. Breanna Stewart, as advertised here tonight.
And she is doing it all over the floor. And this is a player that can shoot the 3 at 6'4", and she's playing unbelievable on the inside. I mean, UConn up 46-21.
Saturday Overdrive, CBS Sports Network, 46-21 in the second. The road to the Final Four continues tomorrow. The doubleheader of men's action coming your way, highlighted by Kevin Ollie's UConn Huskies taking on Red Hot Houston at 2 Eastern, right here on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. The men's program, man, that just puts everything in perspective, because the men's, that's a pretty darn good resume right there, but, you know, in some departments, I guess, pales in comparison to these women. And Breanna Stewart, I mean, she's been awesome so far. 19 points.
She's just such a consistent player, and she does it on all angles of the floor. She's the first one to crash the glass, the first one to run the basketball, to run the floor. She steps out at 6'4", shoots threes. She does it in transition. I mean, she's a player that is a matchup nightmare. I mean, you can say it all you want, but she can get alley-oops thrown up at her, and she finishes them. We haven't seen it yet, but it's difficult for most players to do that. She's got 19 points already today, but a lot of fun to watch her. Why she's in line for Player of the Year. 6
rebounds as well, and a takeaway for Morgan Tuck. And here comes Jefferson. Pull up, got it.
I know there's so much is spoken of about Stewart that we don't always talk about Jefferson, but she is so quick. She is a motor unlike any other point guard in the country. Just complements Stewart so well.
Temple had knocked down 4 straight shots coming out of that timeout that had the turnover. But again, showing some offensive life here in the second.
Yeah, and the past couple of years that I've seen and called Temple games, they have a lot of fight. Tanya Cardozo's groups never roll over. They never give up. I've seen them come out of deficits and win ball games, and I'm not saying that it's going to be easy to do that against UConn, but the fact of the matter is she has teams that fight.
Kia Nurse slicing in, knocked away, picked up by Gabby Williams, and she leans in to knock one down.
I like Gabby Williams. She's really such a finely tuned athletic machine. I mean, she's so good at knowing where to be on the floor.
Shot won't fall for Fitzgerald. And Nurse the other way. Running the lane, mishandling. There's Natalie Butler, and a takeaway for Temple and Fitzgerald. Butts with a step back 3, left it short. Got her own rebound and a reset for Fitzgerald.
And it's not too often Temple gets the second opportunity, so they've got to run with it.
Tried to go back to her that time. Atkinson in a tie-up. Sticking her nose in there was Williams. And it's UConn possession. It's interesting the point you made earlier, UConn, thinking about watching him in shoot around. I mean, at some point, Gino's just there's a lot of work he has to do. His main deal right now is to keep him motivated to get to March and keep him healthy as well. And that's not easy for him, practice in, practice out, game day in, game day out, to keep that motivation as if they're going to be playing teams and they may win and they may lose.
Right. This is definitely a team and a coach who's not concerned with scoring margin. It doesn't matter if they're coming off a win or a loss. There are just certain expectations Coach Ariam has and this program has. And he even said that to us today at shoot-around when he recruits players. There's a lot more pressure on you when you come into this program to perform because of their legacy and how good they've been. But he does not let them get away with anything.
No.
Believe me, if they're fouling or they're doing something and they're still winning by 30, he's on them about it.
There's not a more fun guy to talk to on game day as well. Coming up, AT&T at the half. Join Jamie Erdahl, Swin Cash, and Doug Cotley from our CBS Sports Network studio in New York. Look around college basketball plus first half highlights and stats. 5 to shoot for Temple. Down 50-21, Fitzgerald. And they never got it off. She got blocked on her way in. Back over to UConn. After making 4 straight, Temple coming out of that timeout, and they've missed their last 5. And it was interesting to talk to Gino about, today's player. And
yes.
Every generation says that, right? I mean, It's not how it used to be. But he gave us some pretty nice illustrations as Samuelson knocks down another 3. But said kids these days, they don't, you ask them to do something and they take one little step. No,
right.
we need you to, take a big step here.
Yep. They'll do the bare minimum,
yeah, exactly.
Which is not what he likes. So it takes a little more coaching to get them fired up. And Samuelson with a nice shot off the screen and the ball reversal, the best way to hit a shot from the perimeter. And she is instant offense when she gets in there.
53-21. She's got 16 on 6 of 9, 4 of 6 on 3s. Final minute 15 of the first half. Williams off the skip pass. It spins off. Natalie Butler back up and in. So you bring a 6'5" player in Butler in off your bench, and she pays dividends.
And she redshirted last year, had surgery performed on her thumb in October. So she just saw her first game in December the 30th against Cincinnati. So she's getting back in the lineup as well.
Fitzgerald, step back won't go. And this is what Gino told us today is really the worst case scenario where, what they need is the opposition to come in and play their best game. And he wants his team to play their best, but the best case scenario for the game and for college basketball is maybe for them not to be. And the problem is Temple is not completely on their game.
No.
Really not close. And UConn is knocking down just about everything.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when that combination happens.
In order to hang with UConn at all, you do have to be on your absolute best. And you've got to be able to score. I mean, you have to have offense or you can't hang with that.
Final 20 seconds, a 1 second difference between game and shot clock. UConn leading 57-21. Temple can almost play for the final shot here. Fitzgerald back out to Butts. Tried to find her teammate in the lane. And turnover back to UConn. Looking at that time for Sophia Martin. 14th Temple turnover. Final 5 seconds. UConn with the last crack at it. And Jefferson with 2 seconds. Around and out. And that's the end of the half. Katie Lou Samuelson was phenomenal, 16. Brianna Stewart, same thing. She had 19 on 8 of 10. All UConn, 57-21. Coming up after the break. It's AT&T at the half from our New York studios in New York. You're watching Saturday Overdrive on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Saturday Overdrive on CBS Sports Network on the women's side of the nation's #1 unbeaten UConn, going back to last year with 52 straight wins. Brent Stover and Juliette Vianney back courtside. Kind of what we expected, but even in a blowout, it's really pretty basketball to watch the way UConn does it.
It is. UConn is just so skilled. I mean, they're doing it on both ends of the floor. They're scoring off of transition, forcing the other team to turn the ball over. I mean, that's what they do well, and you're going to see some just skilled players, so we're watching that today. Men's, women's, college, NBA, WNBA, whatever. I mean, it is good basketball to watch. And Brianna Stewart, she's headed very soon to the WNBA and showing why in this first half. She sure is. I mean, she's pulling up and hitting that mid-range shot. She rebounds the basketball well. Nobody really able to put a body on her because she's so long and lengthy. She runs the floor really well as well. And then Katie Lou Samuelson has been a great shooter today. She's got 4 for 6 from 3. They've been really waiting for her to do this. She's kind of called up to replace Kalina Mosqueda-Lewis, who was the sharpshooter the past few years, and she's really getting it done tonight.
57-21. They shot 57% from the field. Knocked down 8 threes. You mentioned Katie Lou Samuelson hit 4 of those three-pointers. She was 6 of 9 overall from the field.
And you look at UConn's defense, 19 points off of the turnovers, and that's what they do. Their defense is always solid every single night, and it creates the momentum on the offensive end.
Aaliyah Butts, good start for Temple as they immediately, 7 seconds into this second half, get a knockdown jumper, 57-23.
That's what you want to see from Temple to come out here.
Shot misfired from straight away on that 3 from Morgan Tuck. The team's rolling in here as Temple travels that time. But when they talk about playing these games against UConn, even if you're not going to win, playing it in segments.
Absolutely. You come back in increments. You try to win 2-minute increments and come back and see, okay, did we do better these 2 minutes than we did in the last 2 minutes? And that's the best way to approach it.
That's Butts knocking that one down. She leads the team in scoring, 16 per game. Katie Lou Samuelson again, this time from inside the arc.
She sure can spread the defense, but when she's able to go inside the arc as well, it makes her more deadly. She keeps the defenses honest.
Butts, pretty move that time. Left it short of the jumper, though. Out of bounds off Temple. The last to touch it was Atkinson. Minute deep here in this third quarter. All UConn is look to make it 16-0 this year. And again, it's about getting to March, getting there healthy, and getting there, and not just winning, because it's what they do, but getting there playing your best basketball. As Jefferson straight away knocks it down.
Nice ball reversal, and nobody there on the catch. And UConn finishes shots when they get them, and Jefferson doing just as well as she's been doing the past couple of seasons, being that senior leader. It's
11 points now for her on 5 of 8. I enjoy talking about shooting percentages with UConn too. I think it's important that you talk about just how efficient they are with their shots. Kia Nurse on cue, and they're up near 60% now, UConn, from the field for the game.
You know what's so good about UConn is that they're very well balanced. So because they get scoring on the inside, they also get it on the outside. I mean, teams have to give something up. So when they're successful on both of those angles, you've got scoring all the time.
59% from the field, 50% on threes for UConn. As Butts banks one in from mid-range that time. And she comes out hot here in this second half.
And that's what you've got to do. Temple has nothing to lose. They just want to try to get better.
Samuelson cannot miss. That is 11 of 21 on threes for UConn as a team, and Samuelson has 21 points.
She is such a pure sharpshooter from behind the arc. Something that she has to continue to do is pull the trigger.
I'll tell you what, there's a reason why Temple, everybody else in this conference is playing for second place. There's a reason why they are that second place team right now, although stepping out of bounds in the drive that time, another Owl turnover. But well, when you're talking UConn, it's just the assists are beautiful.
Yeah, they find each other really well. Look at the ball reversal. It touched 4 different players that time, and it went to the other side of the floor. And that's important, and a lot of teams keep the basketball on one side. You're not going to get shots off that way.
And one for Stewart. She's got 21 points, and Butts commits that foul.
Nice ball movement again here. And another thing Stewart does is she fills the lane. She knows when to cut and when to get through the gaps of the lane to get herself open.
22 for Stewart.
What's interesting about Stewart too, Brent, is that she will beat guards up the floor. You look up and she's already taking off. I mean, you have to be able to find her.
Tough shot in the lane. Coville back up Atkinson and in. Today, Atkinson, sophomore from New Haven, Connecticut. By the way, for Stewart, that's 8 games this year now with 20 or more points. And 19 assists. Just talking about that ball movement. 19 assists on 29 makes for the Huskies.
And these guys don't even play the whole game. If Coach Ariama was able to keep them in for 40 minutes, imagine what they would do to teams and what they would score individually.
There's Atkinson's parents taking in the game. Again, she's from New Haven, just down the road.
And you know she's bringing out the fans today.
Yeah, the point I was making on Temple a moment ago, I started to make is, you know, they're second place in this league. USF is a really good team. They played UConn to just a 16-point loss last week. But it's a good battle for second. And as Nurse knocks down that long-range shot, there's a lot to like, even though they're not showing it today. A lot to like, actually, about this Temple team with this 5-guard lineup, even though obviously the story here today, as it always is, in Soares, Connecticut, and Gamble, is the UConn Huskies. Their good balance all the way around, up big here in the third. 74-27. It's Saturday Overdrive on CBS Sports Network. And CBS Sports Network puts a fresh spin on your morning pregame show, covering the field to fantasy. Our experts prepare you for a Sunday of divisional playoff action. That other pregame show, presented by Kubota. Tomorrow morning, 9 Eastern, here on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. About 10 to play over on CBS with the Chiefs trailing New England 27-13. And again, Pittsburgh-Denver tomorrow will be on CBS as well. Shot misfired, and a push on the rebound. Well, Gino, I don't know, looks pretty happy or bored. And that's, you know, it's
caught him at that time. Contemplated.
It's about every game like this. Atkinson leans in, had her shot partially blocked, back up and in for Coville, the senior from Detroit. And again, something I was talking about before the break, there's a lot to like about this Temple team.
Yeah, no, there is. And, you know, it's one of Tanya's best teams yet that she's had since taking over the Temple program. And what she's done, and what actually Coach Ariama told us at shoot-around today, which was interesting, is she's not a clone of him. And he really respects that, is that, you know, a lot of coaches, they come from a certain program and they kind of emulate that coach and they want to do everything just like that coach. She's taken a lot of things from him, but she's made this Temple team her own style. She's got her own stamp on it. And she's done a nice job with the talent she has, and in the conference she has it, to kind of utilize both. A little bit of her and a little bit of what she's learned from Coach Ariama.
And if anybody's tuning in and heard me say that, they think I'm crazy. It's 74-29. But
right.
Again, we talked about this
Not too
before
many
the break.
teams can hang with you.
No, exactly. I mean, Notre Dame, there were a couple of teams in the non-conference, but certainly not today. Everybody else playing for second. Temple might be that second-place team. 74-29 in the third. UConn big on Temple today, and with 3 straight national titles, 8 straight Final Fours, 10-time national champs overall. You talk about Gino versus John Wooden. Look at that.
How about that? Unbelievable to be in the same sentence as John Wooden, a legend, and Gino Ariama right up there.
Well, and look at the wins, 932.
I mean, he has surpassed him in wins. And I mean, Gino Auriemma is one of the most successful coaches in any sport, not just in women's basketball.
UConn has 4 of the 5 longest winning streaks. They're in the middle of 52 straight right now. Those 52 straight are the 3rd best in UConn history. Turnaround off the window for Gabby Williams. Straight down the lane. Got in a little bit too deep that time. Turnaround though, back up and in for Denasia Fountain, sophomore from Roxbury, Massachusetts. 4 to play in the 3rd. All alone underneath, and that is too easy for Nafisa Collier.
And the passing was just perfect. I mean, I don't think the ball touched the floor that time, and that's how you break a press. The pass moves quicker than the bounce. Just nice ball movement.
Now 60% from the field for UConn, 50% on threes. 22 assists on 33 makes. 1 and done for Temple on that trip.
The talent UConn gets is obviously at an entirely different level. And when Coach Auriemma recruits, and he even told us this, I mean, he tells the players he's recruiting, listen, you come to UConn and you're going to be exposed. You're going to be exposed either as the player that you really are or the player that you're not quite, if that makes any sense, because the national spotlight's on you. So you're either going to be as good as everybody thinks you are, or you think you are, or you're not going to show it. So there's a lot of pressure on you when you choose to go to UConn with their kind of legacy and program.
Samuelson sits down on a day, 21 on 8 of 12. She's hit 5 threes.
Now she's some player and just another one that can stretch the defense for UConn.
Talking about kidding, the players are on a whole different level. I mean, he's got it when it comes to recruiting. Gino, and he's not just the records and the history here, as Temple knocks down a 3 that time, Khadijah Berger. But Gino, he's got a little swag, huh?
He does, he's swaggy, that's for sure. And he's funny. We talked to him at shoot around and he's a riot. He tells you how it is, which I appreciate.
And even when he gets after his players, it's pretty funny, you know? Like, now I don't know what it's like to be the victim, the one getting it. But it's definitely entertaining as Collier again. She's got a couple here in a row. 4 points for Nafisa Collier out of O'Fallon, Missouri, suburb of St. Louis. And Gino, he's got a restaurant. Gino's just down the road. We're gonna have to next time we're in town. We have to.
We hear it's delicious, yes, Italian food. Phenomenal. A fellow Italian.
You would know.
I said I would have to judge it.
We asked him what we should talk about if it was a blowout in the second half. He said, well, why don't you mention the restaurant? So I guess we paid that off. Tough shot in the lane by Fitzgerald. She gets fouled. 2 free throws. UConn leading 80-34. 2:10 here in the 3rd.
And, you know, despite the score, you know that Gino will come away from this game with things to say to his team as far as what they can work on. After this game, I guarantee you, he'll look at the tape, he'll realize, listen, we need to get better at X, Y, and Z. And he'll make sure that they do not become complacent.
Talk about some of the great talent in the history of this program. Brianna Stewart is right there, 3rd all-time in scoring, 2,230.
Not too many like her. She's a special player.
22 today, and again, 9 of 11 from the field. They shoot a high percentage, they don't foul, they don't turn the ball over. It would be easy to get a little bit raggedy, especially in these second halves of games where you're up by a huge margin, but they really don't ever.
They don't. I mean, they play to perfection. Their only loss last year came to Stanford. Normally, the losses that have been handed to UConn have been from Notre Dame. Not lately. They've lost 4 straight. to UConn.
Yeah, beat Notre Dame. UConn beat them by 10 earlier this year.
It's the only team that seems to be able to keep up with UConn offensively. And if you play UConn, you have to be able to score. If you can't, you won't win a game by playing defense.
Foul on Butler there. So 80-35 here. UConn will be 16-0 after tonight. It'll be 53 straight wins going back to last year. Their only loss last year was to Stanford, and that was the last loss. Well, that South Carolina game. South Carolina was #1, and you kind of wondered going in there.
Could they be the team?
Could they be the team? Right. And then they get beat by what, 20 or 24 to UConn.
There was so much talk at that time about South Carolina being the team that could beat them because they were clobbering teams that I think it even fueled a fire in UConn.
And then, Julianne, along that topic, these are the teams you feel like that could possibly, if they are completely on their game, take down UConn.
Right. There's a possibility for sure. I mean, Notre Dame's been able to shoot the basketball well from the perimeter, which is what Gino Ariema did even say to us today at shoot-around, is that's the team that's gotten our number because they're able to hang with us offensively. And you've got to make a lot of threes against UConn because they make so many, you can't make so many twos because they're always scoring. So to keep up with them, possession-wise, you've got to hit threes, and they've been able to do that. And we'll see if South Carolina is able offensively to do that.
That would be the question.
That's where we're going to see, can they shoot the ball the way Notre Dame's been able to?
Butts got blocked in the lane by Collier, and Williams all alone. Final 20 seconds of this third quarter. Temple will play for the final shot, 5 seconds. Drive and kick, Butts in the corner. Spins out, Butler the rebound, end of 3. UConn doing what they do, 82-35. You're watching Saturday Overdrive on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Saturday Overdrive, CBS Sports Network here at Campo Pavilion. All UConn as we start the 4th. We return to the hardwood with women's action tomorrow. St. Joseph's at Fordham tip-off. A doubleheader at 4 Eastern, followed by Davidson at VCU at 6. Only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. How about the defense of UConn here tonight?
The defense for UConn is what fuels their offense. They just really communicate well. They get in passing lanes, and they're always active. They've got hands going. They're anticipating and getting in the way every time. You've got to be able to use pass fakes against a team like UConn because they're so athletic and they're such a well-oiled machine. They know how to rotate. I mean, they have 24 points off turnovers right now.
9 steals and 9 blocks, and we've documented this throughout the day. Sometimes it can be tough to figure out, is UConn really playing their best basketball? And I think Gino probably at times
will disagree at times.
Will disagree, but they're playing, for what I know about basketball, they're playing good basketball today.
They are. I mean, he even said this isn't necessarily the best team he's ever had. I mean, he's very honest, but, you know, it's a solid group, of course, but I would say they're playing good basketball.
Like right here tonight,
yes.
Just isolate this game. They have played well, right? Like really, really well.
Very well. They haven't skipped a beat, even though they've graduated some players, obviously, that are solid. They graduate good players every year, and they seem to reload immediately.
Down the lane, a foul. Good effort going to the rim that time by Wigwe. 9:13 to play in the 4th. 2 shots for her. Butler the foul. I'll say this, Temple's got the best names of any team I've seen this year.
Tough to pronounce.
Ugo Wigwe, you got Fianda, Khadija, Tanea, Tasia, and Denasia. And we talked, again, this is not their best showing, but they are the second place team right now.
Right.
They came in 5-1 in the conference, having won 8 of the last 9. They have found success with this 5-guard set. It'll be interesting to see beyond this game how that continues to develop.
And talking American Conference, when you look at the American Conference, every game, other than when you throw the UConn game in there, is very close. You get 5-point leads, 5-point wins with every other team but UConn. I mean, they're above and beyond everybody in the league. But you know what? You throw UConn in the Big Ten or any other conference, they're going to do the same thing. Yep. It's going to be them above all of the other teams as well. So I don't care what conference you put them in, they're going to destroy teams because it's just what they do. And they recruit and get the best of the best.
And that was part of our discussion at Shoot Around with Gino. What can you do in terms of other conference? And he said, well, nothing. And even if we could, like, you look at the other conference, and he was being candid. Put them in the Big Ten, put them in the ACC, put them in the SEC. They're still going to blow out
the majority of teams.
Those teams.
Yep.
It's just the way it is.
So he's got to focus on his group at hand and getting them better. And we asked him, how do you measure your team and how good they are when they're killing teams? He said, I just figure it out myself. I just by looking at them, seeing how they're doing, that's how I measure it. I've been in the game long enough to know. Because it can be hard to tell when you're beating teams by 40 or 50. And South Florida, we talked about them before, they're a team to really watch. I mean, they hung with UConn the entire game. And what happens with them, I think, is that they get every team's best effort because nobody feels that they can beat UConn, but they feel they could beat a South Florida, for instance. So they get every team's best. And they're playing really well this year.
Knocked away underneath. Good effort by Natalie Butler for UConn, both sides. Weak way to the deck. Graduate senior, Valley Stream, New York, and they are 41-0 in this conference, plus 43 in terms of scoring margin.
The closest win came at that USF game, 75-59, and that's not indicative of how close the game was for the most part, but
I'll be interested to see.
And they were missing one of their better players, USF, that game, with Jenkins.
Who's better, USF or Temple? It's going to be interesting to see.
I know Temple's second right now, but I've also seen USF this year, and I think USF has a little bit more offensive power and more inside play. So I think USF overall is the more balanced team.
Courtney Ekmark knocks down a 3. Sophomore from Sparks, I should say sophomore from Phoenix, Arizona. And it's 87-38. Berger misfires on a 3, rebounded by UConn. 9 Huskies have now scored after that 3 by Ekmark. And Chong fouled on the drive.
It doesn't really matter who you put on the floor, but this is the inside-outside game. Whenever a player is double-teamed, that time Gabby Williams was double-teamed, she passes well out of the double, and players hit shots for them. That's a nice job with the stroke and rotation.
Chong now makes it 10 Huskies that have scored, and that's everybody who's played. There's Gino making sure there will be no let-up in the final 6:56.
And UConn, we've seen them switch into this 2-3 zone. And that's the luxury when you're ahead. You can work on things that you need to.
Denasia Fountain up strong as Temple continues to battle, and she draws contact. Again, the foul on Butler, and that's her 3rd. Fountain misses on the 1st. So this will stop a 3-game slide, but even after this loss, 3-game winning streak, I should say, but even after this loss, it'll be 8 wins in the last 10 for Temple, and take what you can out of this and move forward. And again, try to
shake it off.
Shake it off, try to get in the top 2 in this league, try to get in the NCAA tournament. And they get a pretty good resume.
Basically, that's what teams have to do in this conference, is hope to get 2nd or 3rd place in the conference, because you can throw out the UConn game.
Butler scores underneath off the offensive rebound. 91 points.
And she's got real nice size. I think she's really going to help UConn. 6'5" after graduating Stephanie Dolson.
Shot is short for Temple. Butler now with 4 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 blocks.
And Natalie Butler here, a nice job going up for the board with the put-back garbage points. A lot of second chance opportunities.
21 second chance points. By the way, 107 is the season high for UConn. Closing in on that with 91 points and 553. This is their 6th game this year where they have scored 90 or more points.
A lot of offensive firepower with this unit. I mean, you go down the bench and there's not one player that Gino can't put in that's going to put up points.
Takeaway inside for Temple. Knocked out of the hands of Butts and back to UConn. UConn now shooting 54%. They've knocked down 13 of their 28 threes. It's 28% shooting for Temple, 4 of 15 at the arc. Temple has gotten 9 points from Butts to lead the way, 8 for Fitzgerald. And UConn, the 22 for Stewart, 21 for Samuelson. Jefferson in double figures with 11, Williams in double figures with 10. Back over to Temple
funny
here.
Because the numbers we throw out are incredible numbers, and nobody bats an eye with UConn because everybody expects it. But what they're able to do day in and day out is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah. Consistency, to say the least. Way off on a 3 that time from Fountain, the sophomore. Collier inside. Can't finish, but 2 free throws for Collier, the freshman, when we come back. 5 to play in the game from Campbell Pavilion. Coming up next, join us as the toughest sport on dirt takes the stage in New York City at Madison Square Garden for the PBR Built for Tough Series. Monster Energy bucking battle only on CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. And the Huskies, no strangers for the world's most famous arena. They survived a scare from number 6 Maryland earlier this year. Brianna Jones had 24, but Brianna Stewart, she was a force. She had 23 to go with 7 assists, 6 boards, and Mariah Jefferson, 2 big free throws late to give the Huskies another double-digit victory. They've won 99 of their last 100 games, all by double digits. That about sums it up.
Yeah, it sure does.
Look forward to the PBR coming up when we're done. I got a game out of Colorado State earlier this week and had about 5 of those bull riders on my flight coming into New York.
Sure, that was an interesting convo.
Oh, tremendous.
I don't know how they do that.
That's a different mindset. A lot of respect for those guys. 93-38 here, under 5 to play. Fast break points, all UConn. 19 Temple turnovers in the game, and UConn has taken advantage of many of those. Butts pulls a 3 and drills it.
And I like Butts' game, though. She's one of those players that just continues to get better each year.
She's the first Temple player in double figures today with 12 on 5 of 16. Getting free underneath. On the back door is Collier. Just a good-looking freshman from, again, just outside of St. Louis.
She reads the defense well. When she's overplayed, she does that little back door cut to get herself open.
Collier now with 8. Butts defended by Chung, who plays off of her, and Butts misfires. Tracked down to the corner. Good effort again by Temple's Ruth Sherrill. Again, UConn's high point total this season is 107.
They're ebbing that right now. I mean, they can score at will. And like we talked about earlier, the starters don't even play in the last quarter or 2 quarters sometimes.
You watch what a well-oiled machine it's been, and for more than 3 decades. There's a part of me, I doubt we'll ever see it happen, but there's a part of me, I would love to see Gino coach in the NBA. I would love to see him coach.
Me too.
Like a Golden State team or an OKC team, something like that.
I think he would do a phenomenal job in whatever he coached, because he's just a winner with that gamer mentality. But I would love to see it too. You know, he's got a great relationship with the NBA teams.
Well, he abuts the steal. And Sherrill knocked away by Chong. 3 to play. Chong on the run. Good look. Gabby Williams couldn't finish. Back up Butler and in. Boy, you like to see that. The emotion again in a blowout with 3 to play.
And that's something that's hard to do. You can't fake that emotion. And you see the bench too getting up and getting excited.
Nice game for Butler. 6 points, 6 boards, 2 blocks off the bench. And back to the UConn bench here is Rihanna Polito checks in, and Williams sits. Chong sits as well. Three-point play, Natalie Butler. Atkinson, drive and kick. Butts launches again. He hasn't been shy. Came in, scoring 16 points per game, leading scorer on the team. Here's Polito. Butler trying to get one of these young players a few more points. Ekmark kicks down to 4. The shot clock in the lane. The mid-range shot for Collier. And the 3rd game for UConn this year with 100 or more points.
And Collier can take it off the bounce as well. And just so many players on this squad that are versatile, that can take you off the bounce, that can shoot from the perimeter. And it doesn't matter who's on the floor. And Collier has earned some starts in each of the last 2 games.
.156 remaining. Corner, way off. Ekmark the rebound. Sophomore from Phoenix. Some of these young players. He says, now Gino told us that everybody wants to play us next year. Normally they don't, but everybody's calling. I don't know how much of that is truth. He says we're going to be a little bit down next year. Butler knocks it down from outside. She's had a really nice second half, in particular, 9 points already. But Gabby Williams, a sophomore, Ekmark, a sophomore, Samuelson, who had a huge game, just a freshman, Natalie Butler, a sophomore, as a shot goes down for Berger.
He really only has 1 junior this year, and that's Sanaya Chong. And so he's got kind of that class that was more of a gap. He didn't get a lot of recruits in that year, so he does look at that as next year we're going to have everybody wanting to play us.
Everything's relative,
exactly.
though, right? I mean, Kia Nurse is only a sophomore. Collier, only a freshman.
They're losing Stewart.
Stewart, Jefferson.
You've got Tuck coming back.
Yeah, Tuck's.
She was a redshirt, so she's coming back.
She does have 1 year of eligibility. We'll see what she decides to do. Polito had her shot block, trying to get Polito in the scoring column with less than a minute remaining here. Baseline won't go. Good offensive board underneath. Stick back, no. Malaysia Bolduc, good effort underneath for Temple here late. Final 30 seconds, 102 for UConn. Closing in on that season best of 107. Tierney Lawler out there with Polito. Ekmark as well, as we've talked about, Collier and Butler. for UConn, and not what they wanted. Certainly Tanya Cardoza, who spent so many years as a Gino Auriemma assistant, again doing a whale of a job at Temple.
She is, and we can't say more good words about her. I mean, she's doing a terrific job, and it can really knock the wind out of your sails when you play a team like UConn, because they don't just beat you, they beat you bad. And then you've got to get back up and continue to play the way that you were able to play before that game against the rest of the teams that are more even with you.
She told us this week she's honored to come in and coach against Gino, and she wanted to show him that by bringing their best effort against his #1 team. And I don't know if they did, but they certainly battled here all the way down to the final horn. And UConn's winning streak now 53 games. They're 16-0 this year. 104-49 in the final.
And what can you say? UConn played terrific. They did what is expected of them. And Temple just fell pretty short, like a lot of teams in this conference do.
#1 UConn. 104-49 on their home floor. We'll be back to Gamble Pavilion here in Stores to wrap it up when we come back. Saturday Overdrive, CBS Sports Network. Brianna Stewart and Samuelson both were phenomenal again here today. 104-49. UConn 16-0, and Gino Auriemma is with Julianne.
Coach, obviously it's easy to see the positives in a victory like this, but what do you as a coach see in your team as far as what you can improve upon to win another national championship?
Well, you know, the last 2 or 3 days we've been really focused on doing some things defensively that a little bit better, a little bit different than we did on our trip, and the results, you know, we saw a little bit of it today. You know, the same things that every other team is working on. Every day we want to get better defensively. Every day we want to rebound better. Every day we want to move the ball better on offense. And today we did all those things. You know, the opponent really is not the issue. It's more of, are we doing the things that good teams really do? And when we shoot the ball like we shot it tonight from the three-point line, then it's just, you know, it's hard to play against us.
And you mentioned the threes, and Katie Lou Samuelson just stepping up for a player like Mosqueda Lewis that you graduated. How important is that?
Well, that's the biggest missing piece that we have from last year. And when we're able to spread teams out like that and they have to come out on the perimeter, and it gives Stewie so much room to work with underneath her and Morgan. You know, Lou's a great player. She's going to be a great college player. Games like today kind of reminds her and reminds everybody else just how good she can be.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
And Katie, obviously you've shot the ball terrific tonight, and how pivotal is it for you to be able to do that day in and day out to spread the defense for you guys?
It's definitely important for me to do that. There's games where I'm going to have to hit threes so that I can take a little pressure off for the older girls, because everyone's going to try to key on them, and if I can step up and help them out as much as I can, I'm going to try to do that. And
how pivotal is it that you guys are well balanced both inside and out moving forward?
It's really important, because I don't think that there's really one thing you can take away with our team. We have so many different ways to score and so many different people who can do it, so it's really important that we keep balancing inside and outside game.
Thanks, Katie. Brent.
Thank you.
Julianne, thanks. 21 for Katie. Well, Brianna Stewart had 22. It's a 104-49 win for UConn. They are 16-0, 53 straight wins dating back to last year. The train just keeps on rolling here in Stores. For Julianne Vianney and our entire crew, I'm Brent Stover. This has been a presentation of CBS Sports Network, the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. So long from Stores. Take you back to our New York studios for Inside College Basketball. Jamie Erdahl, Swin Cash, and Doug Gottlieb are standing by.